Alrighty, up next we have example number 2 here, getting a little bit more complicated. We have some distribution going on. We're using a p variable instead of an x. Oh my gosh. And we have a additional plus 7p over here we're going to have to deal with as well. So as usual, we are first. Now there might be. Sorry, I had a thought. There might be some people that want to combine the 7p and the negative 8p. While yes, they are like terms, the reason we can't combine them is because they're not on the same side of that equal sign. If I draw that line down the center, those are not on the same side, therefore we cannot combine them. We're going to have to move one of them over at some point using inverse operations. That's why to start off, we're going to stick with our distribution. Negative 8 minus negative times the positive 4. 8 times 4 is 32. P plus 7p, and then again, just carrying everything else down. Okay, now I do have a set of like terms that I can combine over here. This negative 32p and this positive 7p, those are like terms, and they're on the same side of the equal sign. That's the key piece. So I can combine those down into a negative 25p. Yes, just double checking on my math there. No like terms on this side of the equation, so I'm just carrying those down. And yes, I did almost forget to carry down my negative 8, so don't do that. All right, so at this point, we're on to step number 3. Nope, just kidding, 2, where we're trying to get all the variables on the same side of the equal sign. I can't possibly isolate that variable and get p by itself if p is in 2 different places. That's just impossible. So remember, to avoid negativity, we're going to move the smaller piece over. The bigger the negative, the smaller it is. But again, I'm going to stress it would not be wrong to add 8p to both sides. You could still get the same answer by doing that. We're just going to avoid the negativity and add the 25p to both sides. Now I want to be clear here. I'm writing the plus 25p underneath the negative 8p and not underneath the 25, even though that might be tempting because they both have 25s. Because negative 25 and 25p are not like terms. We cannot combine those. They do not have the same variables. So that is problematic there. All right, so my negative 8 is going to carry down. My negative 25p and positive 25p cancel out to 0. Okay, I don't know why I stuttered there. Excuse me. Negative 25 is going to carry down. Negative 8p plus 25p is going to be a negative 17p. I know I'm struggling to speak recently, all of a sudden. Okay, now we're to the point where we are trying to isolate the x term, or in this case, the p term. That sounds silly. Well, anyway, this negative 17p is prevented from being alone by the negative 25. The opposite of a negative 25 is to add 25 to both sides. Swoopity swoops there. Negative 8 plus the 25 turns into a negative 17, actually. Just have to double check that. And then the negative 25 plus the 25 cancel out to 0, carrying down our negative 17p. Last but not least, p is prevented from being alone by negative 17. Multiplication's going on there, so I'm going to divide both sides by the negative 17. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so therefore p is equal to 1. Jumping right into our check, I'm just going to, again, label this as check, remind myself that I'm following gems here and working from the inside out, and just rewriting the original. 8, negative 8 plus 1 plus 4p, parentheses, plus 7p, equals negative 25 minus 8. One last period. Okay, so now we are erasing and replacing, and I'm actually going to take an extra step in this one and rewrite it because I was kind of sloppy that first time. Now, again, with these double sets of parentheses, it's going to be really important that you don't lose those. Minus 8 parentheses. Into my parentheses, I can place my 1 because that is what I got for p. And now notice every single place there is a p. There's 3 p's in this original equation, so there's 3 places where I need to substitute that 1 in. Now, gems, groupings, inside the groupings first. We're working from the inside out. Inside of these parentheses, I need to start with the multiplication and do that 4 times 1. 1 plus 4 times 1 is 4, plus here I can do this multiplication as well. 7 times 1 is 7. Cannot do this subtraction yet until I've done this multiplication. So negative 25 is carrying down, and that just stays a negative 8. Still have some groupings over here that I need to deal with, so I'm going to do that first. The 1 plus 4 is 5, and again, carrying everything else down. Notice how our equal sign isn't really changing, despite me writing different colors. We're not moving anything over using inverse operations. We're just simplifying. Negative 25 minus 8 is going to be a negative 33. Keep going over here. Negative 8 times 5 is a negative 40. Negative 40 plus 7 does turn into negative 33. Therefore, negative 33 is equal to negative 33, and our statement is true, meaning we solved the equation correctly. Shocking, I know, but yeah. So, you're not necessarily doing it wrong just because you're doing it differently. Keep that in mind, and before you assume you're wrong just because your friend did it differently, maybe come get it checked by me so I can tell you that you're not wrong.